wife gives 4 million naira to widows.
It's all right. Thank you very much for joining us. And that's all we'll be able to take on the paper review this Wednesday morning. Do yourself a favor of getting information. It's power. It will take you from the level you are now to a higher level. Today is the International Day of Zero Tolerance, talking about female genital mutilation. And amazingly, Nigeria has the highest absolute number of this case in the world. As a matter of fact, it constitutes a quarter of the about 130 million women who so far have been mutilated. The amazing part, Evans, is that not until 1980s, before 1980s, this was called female circumcision. The United Nations came and said, well, this has to stop. Then the name changed from female circumcision to female genital mutilation. And there were a lot of factors, a lot of cultural and political factors that has helped to increase and make this case more incessant, especially in this part of the world. And we have here with us a woman. As a matter of fact, in one of the statistics, it says that the highest percentage of female genital mutilation is actually in South Nigeria.
And not only that, I think the highest percentage when it comes to mutilation, because the other time you were talking about circumcision for men. Now, I can't, we can't say that it's mutilation, because somehow by how God created the men, somehow you really need to circumcise them, at least just trying to, you know, align yourself with the biblical injunction.
You're talking culturally now again. You're going cultural. And that's exactly what NGOs are saying, that it's against the human right of these people, because they are, you don't have their assent. You don't get to hear from them. Do you want to go through this pain before you subject them to?
Yeah, I'm not supporting it in any way. It's not as if I'm supporting.
Well, you just said that it's necessary.
No, I didn't say. I'm talking about the men.
The men.
Yeah. So it's
that the same thing? The definition for mutilation by the United Nations talked about any form or process of injury to the external female genitalia. Do you get it? Which does not necessarily have any medical reason. There are men in this world who are not circumcised and who are living fine. The truth is, these things are more cultural than medical.
Well, anyway, I think we have our guest here that she's going to tell us more about it. And to do that is Ms. Olorunke Ojekere. She's a female, child activist, so to say.
Child rights and women rights activist.
Okay, child rights and women rights activist. All right, both of you are welcome to this morning.
Thank you very much.
You look
good
good.
morning. Thank you
You came
so
with
much.
your husband. It looks good too.
Thank you very much.
I love that. Let's start with the human rights perception of what they call the female genital mutilation. In Africa, the parents are responsible for their children. It means that a child is supposed to be under the custody of a parent between age 0 to 18. And then the parents take responsibility for whatever happens to the child. So if there is any value that is accepted culturally, that's where we're having a problem now. It's accepted culturally in this part of the world. What's the human rights perspective to that?
Well, let's start off by trying to further define what female genital mutilation is. Then, like you have said, female genital mutilation is the removal of some parts of the female genitalia. And what does this mean? It either means that you are taking off part of the clitoris or completely taking off the clitoris, as the case may be. It also goes a step further to saying that part of the vulva, or a good percentage of the vulva, is sewn up, right, to leave just a little hole, enough for the woman to be able to pass urine or to pass blood during her menstruation, you know, and that is what we're frowning at this point in time, and that is why we're saying that there must be zero tolerance to such a thing.
Does it in any way affect initial sex experience for the girl child?
Well, the people who imbibe this culture, you know, say that when you circumcise a woman, her sexual activities, you know, is checked. You know, I don't understand it. You know, I've tried to look at it, and I'm trying to draw a rationale between having to remove the clitoris, which many adult women and many adult human beings know that that is actually the fun for any woman, you know, in sexual intercourse. So when you now say that you clip off some part of it or totally remove all of it, I really don't get it. And
Statistics tells us that 41% of adult women in Nigeria today have been circumcised, so to speak.
yeah,
And one major reason behind it is to ensure that African women do not go promiscuous.
yes.
Are you saying categorically now that having gone through circumcision, that woman is deprived totally of sexual pleasure?
Yes, in one way, yes, you know. But when you look at women who are circumcised, you know, I've talked to one or two people who have genuinely opened up their minds to me to say that they were circumcised. And I asked, you know, did it, you know, just the curious mind. So did it check your sexual urges? One told me that because she knew that she no longer had that, you know, which she was supposed to enjoy with, you know, she started having, let me use her words, I started catching my phone. You understand? And it's not, I would not say that circumcision puts a check on whether a woman is promiscuous or not. It is actually your being, you know. If you have made up your mind that you want to keep to yourself, you know, you can, whether or not you are circumcised. So the act of circumcision does not really put a check, you know, on the promiscuity.
The challenge now is that as we speak, there's no federal law in Nigeria
That's
against that particular act.
Yes.
Now, I'm beginning to wonder that maybe because from research, it's even harder to convince women not to go through it. In certain places in Africa, you are not,
You do not have a
welcome
say.
into the womanhood except you go to circumcision. As a matter of fact, they can't call you a mother even if you have children, except you've been circumcised.
And also, in addition to what you just said, because a while ago she talked about that it's more or less like as a result of cultural belief.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural
Yes,
thing.
yes.
But you agree with me that some cultures, you know, in Nigeria, in Africa, it's more or less a kind of a behavioral pattern. You know, it's something that, okay, once you get to this stage in life, for you to be indoctrinated into womanhood, you have to
It still boils down to
mutilated.
it's not a behavioral pattern.
Okay,
You
so
know, it still boils down to the cultural beliefs of those people. You know, they believe that for you to attain womanhood, all right, your clitoris have to be partially removed, or in some cases totally removed.
Okay, so what is this seemingly you know, correlation now between it for it being a behavioral pattern or something, a cultural thing?
Well, because many people have grown up to seeing it in their culture, you know, they have now taken it upon themselves to now believe, you know, that this is what we do. It is part of our behavioral pattern. But I will not agree that it is a behavioral pattern, because if it is in my culture, like what we are doing now, we are now frowning at it, that listen, it shouldn't happen, you know, because you are inflicting pain on the girl child, on the woman. Many people do not even do it to the girl child. You know, they wait, like we know, until they get to a certain age where pain is felt, okay, before they do it.
So why do you think it is done that way?
I just think it's inhuman. I will not, whatever I'll be talking about, I would not be speaking in favor of it. I just think it's inhuman. You pin down a woman or you pin down a girl child, you spread her legs, and you use unsterilized sharp object without anesthesia, and you just clip her off, you know. And no form of medication is given, you rub your native herbs and you say go. You know, what are their fears? Their fears now, what are our fears? What are we crying for? Infection, infertility. You are stopping the woman from enjoying her God-given gifts, all right?
And you also probably
and then you are introducing infection into her. You know, they are not thinking of that medical angle of it.
Well, if you're talking about medical angle, there are cases where caregivers and hospitals now even do it.
But if you notice, there was a case recently in London, I think, or in the UK, where a nurse took it upon herself to circumcise a male child, not a girl child this time, a male child, and the boy bled to death.
The boy bled to
He
death?
bled to death. Yes, I think she has been sentenced now. You know, I didn't quite follow the story.
Sentenced? Now, what we want to find out this morning, that person probably was sentenced because
they were not taken, yeah.
Not actually because the act
in itself
to be wrong. Because I want us to dig into the cultural right.
Okay.
Because this thing has eaten deep into the culture of our people. For instance, male circumcision.
Yeah.
It seems to be you have to do it.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily have any medical, I don't know anyway. But the question is, if female, what they call the female genital mutilation is totally wrong now, how do we defeat the problem of culture, especially in Nigeria?
Well, we should start to educate individuals. It is not just the NGOs who are doing this. Medically, doctors are coming out to speaking up against it. The social workers are coming out to speaking up against it. And government is now beginning that propaganda campaign to speak out against it. But I say this, that even with us talking and talking and talking and talking, until some level of punishment is put to it, you know, we will not, you know, be seen.
When you say some level of punishment, I feel so uncomfortable because, like we all know, culture, you know, is an integral part of a group of people.
That is true.
So, like what you've been saying, you have established that it's more of cultural than behavioral.
Yes, but
so if you try to now introduce something that people are used to, something that culturally they feel that is a part of them, do you think they will just, because whether you like it or not, I know that despite all that government has done, in Africa, in Nigeria, a lot of people, they still mutilate the female's genitals.
I'm happy that you say in Africa, in Nigeria. We should know that female genital mutilation is not a Nigerian thing. Okay. It is actually an African thing, where we have the highest number of mutilated young girls and women. Okay, and in Africa, even in Asia and all of that, they used to believe culturally in female genital mutilation, but immediately their government stepped up to it and started jailing those who indulged in it. We started seeing a steady decrease, you know, in that, and they are the ones who are now crying out and saying no. They have conferences, they're talking about it. I think in Yemen or somewhere, you know, if you are caught doing such a thing, you go in for 7 years. All right, so if it's until...
When you talk about form of punishment now, there's a constitutional review ongoing. If there is no federal law against female genital mutilation, then we are not fighting any war. What is your NGO and other NGO that's fighting for women and child rights doing about this, especially at this critical time of constitutional review?
Well, the children and women in our constitution have not been adequately taken care of. All right. If you ask me on a very personal note, I think we should have a total review on the rights of the woman, you know, in the Nigerian constitution. And until we can really look at it and take step by step, abuse by abuse, whatever thing that has to do with the woman, you know, and look at them, I mean, critically, it is only when we get adequate, what will I call it now?
Adequate information
Out to the legislative quarter.
Yeah.
You know, we will all have to come out and cry out, you know, before we can have our laws reviewed as it concerns the women. But if you ask me, in many areas that I am involved in, the girl child and the woman, you know, when we are very, very grossly, you know, that is our first form of abuse, our constitution.
Okay, talking about abuse now, let us quickly look at some of the implications of female genital mutilation. I do know there are so many of them. So, like, what do you think they are? Some of the implications now.
The implications of female genital mutilation.
Outside the medical implication.
Outside the medical implication. Socially,
okay.
You know, it affects them, you know. Well, we cannot say it affects them culturally, because we believe that it is a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You know, the men that they are supposed to be protecting these women from, you know, are in themselves saying that they are not getting the pleasure that they are supposed to get from their women. Yes,
a woman that have been mutilated.
When you mutilate a woman and your husband does not know, okay, you know that, because many women shy away from it. They don't come out to say that, you know, I have been circumcised. You know, it's kind of like a bane now in our society.
Thank you very much, Matt, for coming this morning. We're still going to talk about this subsequently, and we hope to also address the medical perception of this. The National Assembly is saying that the constitutional review is quite open, and we expect that NGOs, these are time to talk about making these go into federal law if we really want to fight the war against female genital mutilation. You're watching your ultimate news and current affairs program on independent television. Up next, we'll be talking about corruption and the future of Nigeria. Don't go away.
February 14th.
ITV Corpus Classic, 14 February 2013, Valentine's Day. Time 5 p.m.
Red carpet starts 4 p.m.
Venue is the Emporium Event Center, JBS Estate, off Boundary Road, Benin City. ITV Corpus Classic featuring music, dance, poetry, game show,
and MC Casino to spice up the show.
Come enjoy electrifying moments with your soulmate. Experience romance on the platter of gold. And win exciting prizes such as gas cooker, microwave oven, refrigerator for knowing your partner. To participate, get your gate pass for just 2,000 naira per couple at ITV Corporate Headquarters, Glass House Airport Road, Benin City. Or ITV Communications Village, Igosa, Benin City. ITV Corpus Classic, igniting the flame of love.
Get to win a brand new Honda CR-V SUV S store prize and 3 million naira and 1.5 million naira for first runner-up and second runner-up respectively, with other consolation prizes in the ITV Radio 92.3 FM Know Your Partner game on its dating program, Cupid. Text your name and your partner's name followed by ITV out to 33133. Text cost 15 naira each. Entries will begin January 13, 2013 and ends March 13, 2013. 7 lucky couples will emerge as final contestants via a draw, while a winner will emerge on the grand finale, which will be on Easter Monday, April 1st, 2013 at the ITV Radio Benin Studio. 50 other lucky couples will win 50,000 naira each as consolation prizes. Hurry, get to know your partner better. The more entries, the more your chances of winning. Partners must be 18 years and above to participate in accordance with the National Lottery Board regulation.
All right, it's a beautiful morning to you. And of course, happy Valentine's Day. And of course, a happy Singles Awareness Day. I'm not forgetting that, because I know that there are people who are single. So you have a right to be happy because you're not double doesn't mean you don't have a right to celebrate. So also celebrate as a single, celebrate as a couple, celebrate love. That's all that matters. Of course, you're on to our next discussion of today. And you know, talking about women, this is one thing we just can't stop talking about, because even as we celebrate Valentine's today, you should know that women are still at the receiving end. Because at the end of the day, they're still the one that's going to come up with heartbreak or, you know, pregnancies, yeah, unwanted pregnancies and all that. So, but today we're really looking at something. You know, some people came together and chose today, February 14, as a day to create awareness, or to call on women. They want 1 billion women to rise. And you wonder, are they revolting or what? But I don't know. That's why I have my guest with me here this morning talking about Ronke Ojekere, initiator of Sothawaca. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Same to you too.
Happy Valentine's Day to the viewers out there.
So, why February 14 and why the call too?
All right, I'll start this way. February is the month that we have. When I say we, I mean activists on women issues, children issues, persons issues, have set aside as the month for the creation of awareness in domestic violence. Because like you have said, February 14th actually is a time where women are abused very seriously. Many people go for dates not knowing the people they are going out with, and they either get raped, they get beaten, and after that there's an emotional thing in it. So February 14th actually, we say February 14th actually encourages sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, all forms of abuse, neglect and all that. So women around the world today have decided that we're going to start an awareness program, 1 billion women rising, to unite communities against violence. We're using this as a forum, to end, as our propaganda to ending violence against women and children, or violence against the feminine gender.
Okay, calling on 1 billion women. I suppose I'm one of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so why the call?
Okay, this thing was started by a lady called Eve Ensler. She was a Tony Award winner, and it was her movie, The Vagina Monologues, that earned her that. And what she did was that, listen, since we all look at Valentine's Day as the lover's day, so to speak, is a day of renewing your love and all that for the opposite sex or for your family. Let us now look at it as a day, to empower women, to get up, to rise up, to shout, to say enough is enough of all forms of violence that are being experienced by women. It is not a day for political talks. Okay. It is not a day for fundraising. It is a day for dancing out your sorrows. People go to church and they say, when you see them dancing, they tell you that they are dancing out their worries. So she has now said, every woman, come out, today is a day for dancing, and many people who are involved in all of this have their different motives for coming out to dancing today. Many are coming out to support the end of female genital mutilation. Okay. Many are coming out to support friends and families who have been sexually and physically abused. Many are coming out, you know, in remembrance of their loved ones who have been killed by partners in during domestic violence. So we all have different reasons for coming out, you know. But the long and short of it all is that we are coming out to dance, to making noise, to saying enough is enough, to saying that we must all learn to speak out and shout out and take our stand, you know, when issues of domestic violence and all forms of violence come up in our society.
Okay, it's somewhere it said for every 4 women, one is either beaten or raped in her lifetime.
Absolutely.
And don't you think probably it's because she's not being cooperative or something?
I wouldn't say that. It is a statistics that has been given to us by the United Nations Development Female Group, you know. In a lifetime, we say 1 in 4, but it has dropped to 1 in 3. You know, we say it's one in 3. You know, in a lifetime, before a woman attains the age of 18, you know, many women would have gone through sexual abuse, through emotional abuse, through physical abuse, through neglect, you know. So it's something that that we all know these days, and you know, we are all fighting to put an end to all of that. Yes.
Okay, so how do we intend to achieve that?
With the dance for
yes, the dance, you said dance, workouts,
yes,
rising, I mean
yes, awareness, coming out
exactly.
and speaking out like I'm doing now,
okay.
Because I don't have anything planned out for today. So as my contribution to the 1 billion women rising to unite communities against violence, I have chosen to come out, you know, to do what I like to do, to continue to talk out, to speak out, to telling the society that these things are real and that we must put an end to it, you know.
Okay, you know, the other time when we were on the show, when we were talking about stigma on raped victim and all that, someone said something that if a lady dressed provocatively on the street, that she's supposed to be raped. How true is this?
I remember that argument, and I say that I do not agree, and I will continue to say it, that a woman dresses provocatively does not give any man, any boy, anybody the right to rape. It doesn't. You know, if a woman, that if she feels comfortable in that, it's not like I'm saying women go out there and be naked.
Okay.
But when somebody uses an excuse that a woman dressed provocatively or a woman was dancing provocatively, I couldn't control myself. You do not have any reason to force yourself on a woman. A woman's dress code, you know, is not licensed for you to rape. And if you look at it, like I say, and I was saying that day, that even babies are defied. Okay. So what is your argument? If you say the big ones are dressing provocatively or dancing provocatively, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, are they dressing provocatively? Are they dancing provocatively to you? No, I just think that it is very wicked for anybody to have that mindset that it is the way the person dresses that would invite rape onto themselves. I don't think so. And I say to people out there, a woman's dress code has absolutely nothing to do with her situation, you know. Instead of casting blames on the dress code of that individual, empathize with that person for what she she has experienced and would continue to experience for the rest of her life. Because believe you me, yes, I always say stigma is for the dictionary. That thing, she has been scarred for life, and nothing is going to erase, her experience, the day she got raped or the day she got defied. So if I do not toe that line, that a woman's dress code, is what brings such horrendous situations onto them.
Okay, now calling on 1 billion women to rise.
Yes.
So what do we mean when we say violence against women and girl child?
Okay. Violence against women and girl child has to do it's a very broad topic. It's in a layman's term, it is the act of wickedness that is perpetrated on the female gender. And looking at violence comes in different forms. I won't like to start sounding like a broken record, but for those who do not know, the kinds of violence that we are talking about, we're talking of domestic violence in the homes. We're talking of sexual violence, sexual assault, sexual abuse. We're talking of physical abuse. We're talking of neglect. We're talking of nagging. We're talking of emotional abuse, which is what is killing a good majority of women today. We're talking of denial. Those are all forms of violence that a woman or a girl child experiences in her lifetime.
Okay, now what are some of those experience, or what are some of those things being carried out on a girl child, even in her family?
Neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, denial. A girl child suffers approximately the same type of abuse that an adult woman suffers. So it's just a gender thing, when you deny a girl child the right to education.
Okay.
When you sexually molest a girl child, when you deny a girl child, when you just neglect a girl child, you are not taking care of that girl child. You want her to go out and start to fend for herself. All forms of abuse, are being experienced by girl children these days.
Okay, because of time, really, we are really trying to
keep it
to keep it, but I just want you to round off with this. Now, you're calling on 1 billion women.
Yes.
I suppose that the women in the market are part of this call. Everybody is part of it.
Yes.
So how do they, for you are using this medium right now
Absolutely.
to call on women.
Yes.
So those ones who are not privileged to come on TV, what do you think they should do to encourage this rise?
I say stand up, speak out. No is no, enough is enough. Everybody, you shouldn't, if you know any abusive situation and you think you want to protect yourself by not coming out to speaking out, you are endangering the person's life. You do not know who it will be the next time. So I ask all women to get up, take your stance, rise up, stand up, shout out. Anything you can do, to put an end to violence against women and children. I beg the society, the communities to get up, Probably next year, we would do something in Edo State. But this year I have said to myself that I would use television, I would use the radio, I would use the print media as partners, to lend a voice towards all forms of abuse against women and children.
Thank you so very much, Ronke, for coming on the show.
Thank you, Ify, for having me.
Once again, happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Okay, it's the call on women. And in case she said dance, okay? So you can really dance. If you feel like you don't dance, probably your husband don't take you out. Or even when he say, let's go dancing, let's go clubbing, you say, no, I don't feel like going out. Well, independent television and radio is affording you an opportunity to dance out today on our show Couples Classic, and of course, Valentine's Splash Party at Tonight's Nightclub. It's a time to hang out with your husband. Go out with him. Don't stay at home. Speak out, okay? Don't keep everything within. Look for someone to talk to. These people are everywhere waiting for you to come speak out. Stop, dying in silence. It will change. Something, it will get better. Except you do something about it. Nothing can change it except yourself. It's still our show this morning on ITV. Stay tuned. We'll be back shortly.
February 14th is Valentine's Day. Here comes Valentine's Splash Party for guys and babes to mingle and show love to their partners and loved ones. Valentine's Splash Party at the Tonight's Nightclub, 49 Ihama Road, GRA Benin City. Time 8 p.m. till you go. Date on Thursday, February 14, 2013, Valentine's Day. Get pass 1,000 naira flat, and for you and your spouse, 1,500 naira flat. Valentine's Splash Party. There is no reason for you and your spouse to miss this party. Fantastic prizes are up for grabs. Nigerian top DJs always. DJ SK Shine of Torres and DJ Amado and lots more. Nigerian music artists and comedians. Valentine's Splash Party at the Tonight's Nightclub, Hiamaro GRA Benin City, February 14th, Valentine's Day, 8 p.m. till you go. Valentine's Splash Party. Probably brought to you by ITV, Tonight's Nightclub at 92.3 FM Benin City. Valentine's Splash Party. Lego.